Hey, Prog Noggins, Dave here. Welcome to Bleeding Edge. Thank you so much for joining me. So, I know when you think of Italy, you don't necessarily think of progressive metal. Yeah, they've got a long tradition of great progressive rock, starting with PFM and Goblin, and of course, lately, Baroque Project. But progressive metal isn't necessarily synonymous with the country. Well, we got a new band that is coming out with their sophomore effort who are going to try and change that perspective. They're called Benthos. The new album is entitled From Nothing, and they're newly signed to Inside Out Music, so they're hitting the big time in the world of prog, which means they got to have a little bit of talent. They have this very unique mix of styles blending metal and mathcore and jazz and all these kind of different elements into a very unique stew that is just theirs. And I was lucky enough to be able to chat with two of their members, and I'm going to desperately try and get this right because I do tend to mangle Italian names, Gabriele Papagni and Alessandro Tagliani. They joined me to talk about the new album, to talk about the origins of the band, and to tell me a little bit about what makes them unique and how they put it all together. So, without further ado, here's Gabriele and Alessandro of Benthos. Anyway, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. I appreciate your time. It's good to talk to you here. And it's going to be interesting to find out more about Benthos because you're a semi-new discovery for me, as I imagine for a lot of folks in the U.S. Second album coming out very soon. And you've popped up on occasion in playlists on Spotify. That's how I first saw the name come up. And I was like, oh, these guys are interesting, and they do some different stuff. So it was a matter of, all right, let's see what we can find out more. So when I was asked about, an interview, I was like, oh, cool, I'll get to find out some more about these guys and see what's going on. So I bet you're pretty excited with the second album coming out.
Very, very much.
Yeah, and that's a very cool thing. So for those of us that aren't familiar with you guys, and tell us a little bit about the formation of the band, because I understand three of you have relationships going pretty far back, like the school days.
Yes, I think everything started between me and the other guitarist. He's called Enrico Tripodi. We've been classmates in the University of Music in Milan. It's Conservatory of Milan. We've been in the same class of classical guitar. We studied together with the same teacher. And as well, Enrico and the main singer, Gabriele, they've been classmates in the high school. But we've been in the same school together. But me and Enrico in the same department of music. Yeah.
Nice.
And well, I think everything started in 2018, I think, yes, because before Benthos, I had been playing in another band, and unfortunately, we split up. So I remember the day after, I called Enrico and I told him to join me in a new band. And I think we waited like almost 1 year to find all the members. And well, and then Alessandro and the bassist joined the band. And Gabriele as well, the singer, but after a great holiday in the south of Italy, we spent some days together and he started to improvise vocal lines on a song that we have written for our first album. And then he joined the band, and that's Benthos. After 1 year, yeah, so in 2019, I think probably 2019, we are complete, yes.
Very nice. It's got a slight, this echoes Dream Theater a little bit in that sense, for guys going all the way back to their exclusive musical school, forming a band out of that. So I like that.
I also think Radiohead, maybe they were school buddies, if I remember correctly. They were all the same school.
Nice. All right. I did not know that. All right. And I'm curious too, the slight digression here, minor thing, but the name of the band, Benthos. I looked that up. I don't know if I found the correct definition or not, so I'm curious.
Yeah, it's how can I explain it? Is the life forms that live in the abyss of the ocean, and it was originally
substrate of the sea, the lowest substrate of the sea, where the organism live in a straight contact with the ground. So it was a kind of a metaphor to represent all the stuff that are hidden inside of ourselves. So, but at the beginning, I think
It was the name for a song.
Yes.
The metaphor was the subconscious, and it was the name of our, I think, most famous single from the first LP. That's Debris Essence. The original name for the song was Awake the Benthos. Then we realized that it was actually a very cool name for a band, and so we decided to change the name for the single and use Benthos as our name. Yeah.
Very nice. All right. I did find the correct definition then. I'm impressed. I tried. Sometimes I'm successful with that. Sometimes I'm not. So talking about the band as far as musical influences, to my ear, it's hard for me to say, oh, I can listen to these guys now. Oh, I hear a little bit of this band and I hear a little bit of this artist and all that, which is kind of a testament to you guys that how unique your style is. So I'd really like to know. I know there are elements of it's described metalcore and or mathcore rather, and jazz elements and other stuff. Who are your primary musical inspirations?
That's a very good question, because I think each of us is coming from a different musical backgrounds. Me and the other guitarists, we studied classical guitar. So I think it was a huge influence for us, the classical stuff. But of course, we are huge fans of progressive metal, like Meshuggah or stuff like that. Opeth probably was one of the most band that changed my life during my high school. But of course, we are very open-minded people. So we are huge fans of math rock as well, electronic music, techno. So really, probably we are influenced by all the genres in the world. All the genres. Yes.
We are all over the place with our personal taste. Each one of us has something that brings to the band. So for me, it's maybe the mathcore, math rock stuff. That's what drives me. For our bassist, is more a jazzist. So he brings that working bass lines and stuff like that. It's very experimental with the sound. So yeah, it's we merge our worlds. We are not really conscious about it. It just happens, and Benthos is the result.
Yes, exactly. The main singer comes from the Renaissance music, because he sings Renaissance music as well. It's his first job, actually.
Now, that's not something I expected to hear. That does not come up very often. All right.
Yes, and he sings even at funerals, so I think it's the most metal stuff.
Yes.
Perfect. I imagine, I was going to ask, is it difficult sometimes to blend all of those varied genres together? But you just said it, Alessandro, it's like, I guess it's just unconscious. It just comes out in what you're doing.
Yes. Yeah, we don't have
some...
sorry.
Yeah. We have some overlap, I think. We all like Tesseract, we all like the Contortionist, so we have some overlaps. And that's, I think, our foundation. Then for each song, each one of us brings something personal, and it happens to work together very nicely. So, yeah.
Nice. And because it doesn't sound easy. It's very complex music. As a matter of fact, I have to imagine, to an extent, for portions of it, you have to be fairly athletic because you're changing time signatures and tempos and styles on a dime. Like it happens very rapid fire, which is impressive. I got to think your rehearsal sessions are I don't know, extensive and intensive. Does it take a lot to be able to make all that happen live?
I'm not sure about that, because unfortunately we don't live close together. And so, for example, the other guitarist, he lives in Switzerland, and is a bit far away from us. So, and we couldn't join together the rehearsal every weekend, for example. And we can do this just like one time per month for the majority of the time. But when we do, we have to be prepared.
Yeah.
So, and we start to write the stuff, and then when the stuff is shaped, I think it's time to get on the room and play together and see what happened. Yeah, sometimes could be hard, of course, but I think it's more. It comes natural the majority of the time. We don't have a role to write music, because when I start to compose music, the majority of the time, I don't know what I'm doing. So I don't know what time signature it is. And then after I've written the stuff, okay, this is 7/4. Yeah. So, and then we play together. I think it's very natural.
Yeah, the other thing that's strange, and maybe you will laugh about it, but working on a song, we try to simplify it most of the time. And I know it's strange hearing the final result, but we start from a chaotic place, and then we try to remove the unnecessary stuff and find the core of the song. Yeah. And so, yeah. It's strange hearing the final result, but that's the process we do. About the rehearsals, I think that we all come prepared to the rehearsal room for, I think, 90% of the song. And the stuff that we work on is trying to play together. So the individual stuff, for us, it's a given. We have to make it work together. That's the job that we do in the rehearsal room.
Yeah, we do our homeworks at home, and then we put together.
Yeah. Okay, so that's not an unusual, I guess. I mean, it's unusual to hear that you might try to fight, but if it works, it works. But it's not unusual to hear about members of bands being geographically separated by fairly long distances. That was part of one of my questions I wanted to ask about, is like the creative process. Is it like some bands, and I think probably it's a more traditional route, that would get together and to physically get together and jam out some music, and just see what they could pick out of their improvisations. And nowadays, it's not uncommon to hear, okay, well, bands are physically separated, so someone may start off with an idea or even write a full song, and then they are emailing clips back to one another, and the other individual members are there then contributing their parts and maybe adding more to the mix. It sounds like it's more that second method that you guys are using at this point, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it was also something that we had to do, because our band started writing stuff during COVID. So it's a workflow that we adopted and then we kept because it worked for the first LP. So it was like, I think, a cake. It's a good metaphor. So Gabriele does the first layer, and the song is actually almost finished, we could say. It's like 70%. And then there is the drum part. I do a little game in which I try to take what Gabriele has done and recontextualize everything. So when I give the song back, some sections are not how he imagined it to be, but I hope he likes it, and most of the times it's the right stuff. Then comes Alberto, our bassist, with the bass lines. And the final work is trying to work on it together on the rehearsal room, and at the same time trying to add the vocal lines. So we try to start with the instruments first, and then the vocals the last.
Usually the vocals comes at the end, but before the vocals, I think Enrico, the other guitarist, is the main engineer of the band, the tech guy. We call him the tech guy, and he rearranged the song with maybe changing some chords, for example, but maintaining the language of the song,
Yeah.
maybe changing the voicing of the chords of the guitar, maybe adding some additional parts, yes, of production like noise, ambient stuff, and stuff like that. Yes, we have a role for composition. Everything starts by me, but then like a cake, it's going to shape with the others. So
I think one of the great powers of Enrico is finding that core of the song. Is the one that finds the musical message and tries to cut some section, move it around, and work. Try to find a way to communicate the song in the simplest manner. It's something that he does very well. And he's also the one that follows the production of the album, usually, from the start to the end. From the recording to mixing and mastering, he follows every stage.
Okay, so he's sort of he's the band's engineer, basically?
Yeah, basically, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Who is responsible for lyrics in the band? Is that...
Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, you started to say something else. Go ahead.
No, I was saying where Enrico always say that I am the mind, he is the arm. When we say that, so it's a good. We are a good team actually together.
Yeah. Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Before going to the next section, I would like to add that we would actually like, if it's possible, to try. To jam something together and not to work with this workflow maybe in the future, because we realized at the end of the composition of For Nothing, during our last composition before recording, that it's a really enjoyable time to be together in the same room and jam some ideas. I really liked the part that I would like to try it out more in the future, but we all have work and life, and it's very hard to find the time to do it.
Close to each other, so
yeah, it's a bit of a hike to go from Switzerland down. Now, I don't know where you guys are based. I know Gabriele, you said you were from the south of Italy, so I don't know if that's still where you're at. It's a bit of a trip, I guess.
I think it's not so far, but like it takes more than an hour and a half. But it's kind of a mess every time doing, from Switzerland to Italy to Switzerland, because he's got his job there. And he's studying also there at the Conservatory of Lugano in the Italian, I don't know how to say it in English, but it's the Italian side.
Region, I think region. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
also, the other thing is that we have incompatible jobs. Some of us work on the weekend, some of us work during the work week, so we don't match together. It's very hard.
Yeah, the world's not cooperating very well with you that way. But I salute the idea of wanting to take that adventurous step of saying, hey, we've been doing it this one way, and hey, let's someday try to do it this entirely different way and see what comes out of that. Because I think one of the things, especially if you are in a genre that has the label progressive, somewhere along the line, it's almost incumbent on you to change things up a little bit here and there, to try something different, to stretch outside of your comfort zone, outside of the normal boundaries. Mm-hmm. And so like that's, I salute you in that attitude that, hey, let's try eventually at least to try and do something different if we can get all these other elements to cooperate with one another.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, who's responsible for lyrics? Is that you as well when you write the song?
Well, for that album, I think the majority of the lyrics were written by me, but there are a couple of tracks that Ale joined to.
Yeah. For the first LP, for Chu, it was 3 songs that I did. Then we did one together, and then you did 2 songs. And for this album, you did almost every song. Yeah, you did 7 songs. I did one as a cordyceps, and then there is Matteo Allegra that did another song that will come out when the album drops. Yeah.
Very cool. Because I read through the lyrics while I was listening to the album, and you're consistent in the sense that it doesn't become like all of a sudden, wait, there's a whole different writing style that's popping me in the face here all of a sudden. They're very, it's almost freeform abstract poetry.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Probably because I don't know what to say, actually. I love the abstract form because I think if I was a listener to this kind of music, I would like to immerse myself and impersonate myself in the music, you know. So it could be read by everyone. So that's why it has to be abstract, because words cannot express perfectly what there's inside.
Yeah.
Could be everything, could be really everything. That's why it's called From Nothing to Everything.
Perfect. Yeah.
There are many themes, obviously. There are many themes during the album. And I wanted to explore what happened on the planet since the day one till now. So it's abstract because it could be everything, all the positive and negative sides of the world, and what these two forms how they influenced the world growing during the years. So that's why it's abstract.
Right. Well, that answered my next question for the most part. I was curious what was on your mind as you were writing a lot of this. And I know, at least from the press release, there was talking about the human condition and human behaviors and things like that. So I knew it was a very deep thinking kind of album in that sense, that, you know, really examining what we all do and everything. So I didn't realize you took it that far back, though. That's in and of itself impressive, because boy, we've as humans been doing a lot of things, many of them questionable in the history of the world.
Questions and answers, actually. Yeah.
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 Very cool. Were there current events that inspired you or anything like that, that sort of influenced some of the songs here and there? Because when I see, as a cordyceps, I can't help but think of the video game and then the TV show, The Last of Us. Obviously,
Yeah.
if I know the word cordyceps, it's because of that.
Yeah. So I have a cool story about it. It's actually the only track for which I have written lyrics in this album. It's as a cordyceps, and the original meaning of the song didn't match with the album concept, and the meaning that it has now, and you can see it in the music video, is the obsession for the idea, maybe the negative side of the passion. You want a thing so much that it destroys you, right? The initial inspiration was not about The Last of Us. It was something personal and current, but it was from my personal life, therapy and stuff. It was about generational trauma. So like the trauma, how it spreads to the future generation if it's not addressed. That was the initial concept, but it didn't fit. And the cool thing about the lyrics is that the new meaning actually came without touching the lyrics. They were so abstract, like we said before, that they could be read in different ways. So both the meanings match the lyrics.
Right. And I personally am one who appreciates that when lyrics can be written in a way that your meaning comes across, and yet at the same time there's enough openness to them that they can be applied to different individuals in different ways, that they can have different meanings for different people. And it's not an easy thing to achieve.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why it has to be abstract, because we want to put the listeners into it, and maybe for someone could be understandable. Maybe for someone means everything, for someone means anything. So that's why it has to be like this.
Yeah.
At the beginning, but talking about cordyceps, I remember when I composed the music, I put the name of the title of the song because I've watched the influence comes from a documentary that I've seen on Netflix, actually, that is called Our Planet. It's a documentary of nature and animals, and there's an episode set in the jungle, and explain what the parasite fungus does to the insect. Yes, that's why I wanted to talk about the cordyceps in a song, and Ale, I think, represent pretty well what I had in my mind in that moment.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that the initial inspiration came from the fact that he always titles his demos, and 80% of the time that is the final name. It's definite. So yeah.
Okay. So what happens in those occasions? You write a song, you come up with a title, and go, I got a cool title, but I'll be damned, I don't know what I want to write for lyrics. You do it.
Yeah.
Do you have little competitions among the band members to see who can get the best lyrics to go with a song you didn't come up with lyrics for on your own?
No, I don't think there's a competition, Gabriele. It's most of the time is the two of us. Most of the time is Gabriele right now. I had a creative block about lyrics in the last years, and this is why this is the only lyrics that I wrote.
Yeah.
And the majority of the lyrics come from Gabriele. Yeah.
Well, we're following the flow. We don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe for the next album, we are not going to use the guitars.
I'm curious too. When you've got two guitar players in the band, and it's not something I've really thought a whole heck of a lot about, because I think I always assumed whatever happened as far as, well, who gets to do this and who gets to be rhythm and who gets to do solo, or do we take turns, or how did you guys work that out? Was there one person when I'm happy to be rhythm mostly, and you do the solos and I don't want to do them, or how'd you work it out?
Well, as I said, always comes natural. We don't have the first guitarist or the second guitarist. I think it's pretty far for our conception of music right now. It was something that works better maybe in the past years, but for now, if I want to do the solo, I do the solo. Yeah, there's no rule about it. Actually, we divide the parts on what we feel better to play, and that's it. Yeah.
It's amazingly democratic how you guys run the band.
Yes.
Very democratic, very kind of trying to think of a good word here, but there's this synergy, at least that I get a sense that it just seems to flow so naturally among the five of you, so that, which is not something I feel like it's not something you encounter a lot, especially in a larger band, because everybody's kind of got their own thing in mind that they want to do, but you guys have found this kind of communal approach.
Yes, I think the main point is bringing our sound and our style into that. And then if we're going too beyond from what we want to do, maybe we can correct. Maybe, non lo so. It's in Italian, sorry. But I think, I think we are perfectly blended together.
Yeah, the cool thing about Benthos, I feel, is that we have this space in which each one of us is the protagonist, kinda. We can express all our personalities, but not in a way that we go over each other. We everything adds up, and it becomes this thing that it's not personal for only one of us. So there isn't a member that stands out more than the others, but each one of us has its place, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So I'm curious about one other thing too, and this is what is the prog metal scene like in Italy these days? Because
Hmm.
I know a few things, and I'll admit I'm not intentionally trying to explore any particular country's music at any point in time. What comes to me flows to me, and it's just kind of the way it happens. But like I'm familiar with PFM, obviously, and Lacuna Coil and Baroque Project. I discovered them last year, and that was another nice discovery. And so what is the scene there? And is there a lot coming out that I don't know about that I should explore?
I
Well,
think. Go, Gabriele, go.
I think Italy doesn't have a great, strong scene for music in rock in general. Maybe
Yeah.
in the past, yes, that Italy had a great role for progressive music like PFM, Le Orme, Banco del Mutuo Soccorso. But if we talk about the new music, it's pretty hard to emerge. Maybe the hardcore stuff is very strong, especially in the center of Italy, but not at all. I think Italy is very based on pop music, trap music, but for
Yeah.
rock music, it's not very supported.
Yeah, it's an environment problem because we have the musicians, we clearly have them. It's just that it's really difficult to emerge because we don't have the avenues to find ears. We have to go outside Italy, and then you have to become famous in Italy because you first became famous outside Italy. So in Italy, you are important if you are an international musician. It's all counterintuitive.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah.
So I wondered if you guys were in a certain sense, like it takes a lot of, I think, dedication to say, I'm going to choose my path through the world of progressive rock and metal. Now, I think right now you've chosen a great time to do it because it just seems like as genre in itself is growing a bit, but you are swimming upstream a little bit, I guess, in many ways, because it's not the most popular, um, form of music in the world. But when somebody like Steven Wilson can debut a purely prog album and then have it in the top five in half the countries in Europe, if not most of them, there's something to be said. In the U.S., I think it's even harder at this point in time for that kind of music to make waves. So that's where I kind of go, ooh, I should move to Europe.
Well, that's weird because I've just seen that Steven Wilson reached the ninth position in Italy with the new album.
Ooh, wow.
The global chart, yes. And I think it's pretty curious, maybe because we have huge fans of progressive music as well. But if you are a famous musician, like of course Steven Wilson, that's one thing. But if you are a small band, it's very hard to emerge.
Sure.
Yeah,
I can imagine. So tours, do you guys have any plans to tour around and play live since we talked about that earlier?
We
can't say everything.
We just announced a couple of shows. One in Milan, that's the release party of the album in our hometown, of course.
Nice.
And we announced a festival in Germany called Euroblast Festival with Tesseract and the Deer Hunter intervals. That's
Yes.
an awesome
Nice.
production. I'm pretty excited about it. And we're working on some other shows we hope to drop very soon.
Yes. Intervals, man. I've seen them so many times, but never intentionally. And not because of anything about them. It's just that they're always opening for somebody else that I was paying to see.
Yeah.
They are the professional opening act for so many bands, but that goes a long way to how good they are. And
They've been around for a while also.
Yeah. And they certainly enjoy what they're doing because there are a few bands I can watch out there where the entire time they're playing, they're just smiling the whole time.
Yeah, that's the greatest part. Yeah.
Yeah. So big grins on their faces. All right. So the new album, From Nothing, comes out April 11th. The rest of the world will get to hear that soon. I've heard it. You guys are clearly massively talented. So it's a lot to digest. It is an album for oh shoot, I had the word in my head and I went and Connoisseurs. There we go.
Oh.
Connoisseurs. For those that know their progressive metal genre, but especially those that enjoy the math rock, the math core version of things, but also with a whole bunch of other elements. It all comes through there, but it makes a nice blend. So I wish you guys the best with it. I think you're making some waves, especially if you got the attention of Inside Out, and they signed you. Congratulations on that, by the way. That is the prog rock label. So if you're there, you are among good company.
Yes, we're really proud about it.
Really, really proud. Yeah, it's been great.
Congrats to you guys. I wish you the best with the album. Thank you so much for talking to me today. I really appreciate it. And I hope the rest of your afternoon goes nicely. Go enjoy yourself a nice espresso at a quiet cafe somewhere.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Excellent. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
All right. So once again, the band is Benthos. The album is From Nothing. It comes out April 11th. So get your pre-orders in, or at least get it pre-saved for streaming to check it out. They got about 4 singles out already, so you can really get a good feel for what they're all about. They're really talented young men. Gabriele and Alessandro, thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate you coming along and tolerating my slow learning with Italian language lessons. I know, I'm a slow learner. I do believe we reviewed Gabriele's name, Papagni, about 4 or 5 times. I probably still screwed it up, but I still did it better just now than I did any of those 4 or 5 times earlier. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me, though. I wish you the best with the album. I hope it turns out to be really great for you guys. And I hope at some point in time we get to see you touring around, because I really want to see how you all put that together, all that complex music together into one thing. Meanwhile, those of you watching, listening, thank you so much for joining me on this. I appreciate your time. If you wouldn't mind, throw a like my way if you enjoyed this, and a subscribe if you want to keep up with future interviews, prog album reviews, as well as the new prog shots. That's the short, sweet prog album reviews for the albums I don't get to give as much time to, but still want to talk about, and the various other things that we're going to be doing on the channel that are prog-oriented. Really happy to have you along for all of that. Meanwhile, that's all I have for you. As always, I remind you, never fear to deviate from the norm, and as always, keep it proggy.